We are going to demonstrate the basic part design with CATIA. This is to illustrate a lot of the different workbenches and different modules that you can use to perform a intermediate complicated part. We can actually go ahead and get started by going to Start in the Mechanical Design workbench, clicking on Sketcher, and this would enable us to to start from the sketch. I'm gonna go ahead and put PRT, RD, and tutorial 4 V01. That is the connecting rod that we're going to create. So at this stage, we are going to select the XY plane, and this will take us directly into the sketch because we started with the sketcher. We are going to start by creating a horizontal axis that will help us in defining the locations. This is the axis element. The axis element won't exist in the sketch. Example, if I have a rectangle and you have this axis element in here and you go out, this axis element will not be used in any construction, as you can see. This is something that is very important to use within a sketch to define different features. We are going to select and click a axis, and we are going to make sure that we have ample of space from on the horizontal line. Next thing, what we are going to do is we are going to create two circles. The left circle will have 26, so that we will have different dimensions, and we are going to create them at a distance of 250 feet from each other. So let's go ahead and click here, make a first circle. So let me go ahead and illustrate something else at the same time. I wanted to create two circles. I don't need to come click twice. I can double click here and create my first circle, and then automatically I still have the circle feature. I can click escape and then I won't have to do it again. Then we click the dimension. So the same thing, I could have clicked on the dimension. Now I know that both circles will be 35. So, and they're gonna be equal. So I can make, if I want to start demonstrating more and more some parametric usage, I can actually come and say edit formula and make sure that this one is equal to the radius over there. And like this, if I make this at 35 diameter, we're gonna have a radius of 17.5, which is a diameter of 35. Next thing, we're going to click the dimension between both circles, and this we can have different locations, we can have different references. So what I did in here is, after you select different element, and I will demonstrate that, you can right click and select other dimensions. I'm going to select from the centers and double click on 250. Now my sketch does not have any positioning for any of the circles. So my sketch does not have at this stage saying that a circle should be on the right or a circle should be on the left or any other dimension. It would have been better to actually have a fixed point at some location. So for example, if I fix this point, it would help me to, like I'm building from off this design. Or for example, if I don't fix this point, but I define how much the distance between this point and the center, that would also, and let's put it for 100 for now, and we will see if later in the tutorial there is any other dimension that it is listed. All right, so now at this stage we have the two circles. Then we are going to create some other circles that that will have different distances. So let's go ahead and start looking into them. There is a circle that is of 26, there is a circle that is of 26 diameter that is somewhere located in here. So I'm gonna illustrate different things as we're doing. So this is the circle. I'm gonna click the tab until I select that I have a radius of 13. Like this, it would automatically create that functionality for me. I'm gonna double click on the constraint, and then I'm gonna say from here to here. So you see, this is what I was saying, like you want to add the horizontal and the vertical. You are going to use a right click on the mouse and say, hey, this is the horizontal one. And then we're gonna do it again, as we had a double click. Select here, and we're gonna say, hey, this is the vertical. And this would help us make sure that our sketch at all times is, so well, it says under constraint because of the axis in here. So we can actually uh, fix these elements if we want in the axis, and this would help us. So this point as well, let's see if this point, well, we did not really put a dimension on the axis. So if we go ahead and put a dimension on the axis with a fixed element, that should help us become ISO constrained, which is always very, very useful. So now in here, I'm gonna double click the radius, and I'm going to move that radius to some other location so that I can see it better. Here, this is good, and this is the right value. This one is gonna be equal to looking at the dimension 26, and this one is gonna be equal to 39. Now we're going to define, looking at another circle of 26. Let's see if we have some dimension for this other one. Yes, we have 16 and 43. So we're going to select in here, and I am going to double click dimensions. This is the first dimension. The second one is the horizontal from this point to this point. So we can put horizontal reference, and the last one is going to be the vertical one from this one to this one, and we're going to put this value. We will change the dimensions. This will be 43 and this will be 16 as per the drawing. And finally, of course, we have to make sure that our diameter is of 26. So far we are at a stage where we are creating those different elements. Now the question, the task that we have is we are to select the profile icon and draw an arc from the right circle, then continue with a line until we reach the rightmost circle. So we are going to go ahead and try to do that. So basically we have the profile, and we want to start with an arc. It's going to be a little bit challenging, but you know what? We'll start with an arc. So they want a little bit of a center here. I don't really like to start with the arc. So you know what? I don't like to start with the arc. I'm going to start with the straight line. So there is a straight line coming from this side. So we can put the tangency in a little bit of time. I think there is a tangency. It's a little bit hidden under the element. And we are going to, I'm going to turn off the constraints creation so that I am a little bit free. I'm going to create a bit of a line in here, and then I am going to select that this is tangent all the way to have this tangency in here. And this is the line that I have until now. So I have tangency. So now I'm going to go ahead and create those constraints, make sure that I enforce them. So of course you have to reactivate this element. So now I'm going to make sure that this one also we have some tangency, and it is still not ISO constrained. So let's wait a little bit and to see where else do we need to do to define any other information. So looking at what we have, make sure that the arc and the circle are so So the arc does have a radius of 72. Let's see if we can add this one up. Ooh, that's a big arc here. Let's see if this would like it. So, okay, of course, we needed to, so we can, you know what? We can actually do that in 2 stages. So you can do this in 72, and then we can say that this one and this one, there is a coincidence. So this point comes all the way there. So all the different properties are being respected. The only missing one that I see is a dimension of 13 between this point, a dimension, and this point. There is a dimension of 13. Well, let's see if that fixes it. It does kind of fix it, however, the arc is not complete. So actually, this is so this is good. Like I'm trying to do it like live in front, and this is we're gonna extend the arc all the way to this point. So in case we extend it more by mistake, I mean you can always trim the location. So, and actually eventually we're gonna be trimming. So this is now respected. We have 72. We have this dimension that is tangent. We have this point that is, now I'm gonna try to see if this point, so this point is tangent and it should meet this element. I don't know if there is anything missing in here. It does kind of look different a bit. So I am a little bit wondering what could be the issue. So looking into this, let's brainstorm together if the dimensions are right. So we have 250, all right, and we have in here a radius of an arc. We have double tangencies, so here and here. So there is a tangency between, and this is a diameter of 26, and this one goes all the way to 13. Let's delete this one for a second, and so this point can change. Okay, so there is something here happening that I don't like. So I'm gonna click this one and gonna make them coincidence, which means I wanna force the point to be on this, and then okay, now that makes it way better. So at least this point is always in coincidence and it's tangent. So now if I actually put the dimension all the way to this one and I fix this dimension to 13, that should force me to have perfect. That should force me to have the dimension of the circle. All right, so there is still, like looking into it, this is a tutorial. So we do have all the conditions. So we do have the 13, we do have all of them. There is still no indication on the location of this point. So perhaps it will come in subsequent images. But at this stage, it's important that we select this and we say, hey, there is a coincidence. So, and look at how they are moving right now. So all we said is that this point is on this circle, which means you can move it on the circle, and look at how everything else is being respected. You have the tangencies everywhere, so in here you can go up and down and you have the tangencies and whatnot. Let's take a look a little bit more before we move forward and see if there is anything that we might have missed. So another dimension or something. So this is 13. This is once again 13. And what do we have in here? We have the 43 all the way to here, 13 coming here. So it doesn't look like we missed any dimension from this one. Let's see if there's something in the text. Make an edge fillet between the line and the circle with a radius of 35. Delete the left circle centered. Okay, so let's go ahead and proceed with the next steps. So the first one is make an edge fillet between the line and the circle with a radius of 35 millimeters. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm gonna bring, I have no clue why this is going down on its own. I have not, so I'm going to, I don't know why it's moving. So I'm going to click here. So this is a demonstration of how you can move this. I'm going to click here to deactivate the tree and move it back up and zoom in like this. It is back into its location. I'm going to locate this approximately how it was on the graph and try to see if the next features would create this concentricity. So we are going to create an edge fillet between this circle and this circle. So we're going to have a edge fillet. So this is an edge fillet. This is how it's called within the sketch. And the dimension of this edge fillet. So let's see in here if we have different option. Okay, no, this is good. All right, perfect. So, and the dimension is 35. I'm gonna click tab and press 35 and create that. All right, that kind of create the shape that we want. I am going to try and move it to see if, okay, so it is still lacking some dimension. Everything is respected, but it is still lacking something to fix the element. So we will see in a little bit of time what is that can be added that can fix, help us get ISO constraint sketched. So delete the left circle centered on the axis. Delete the left circle, this one. All right, I'm not gonna delete it. We're gonna put it as construction element. This is gonna be useful. Make the height of the arc 9 millimeters from the horizontal. Make the height of the arc. Okay, this is gonna be the dimension. So from here to here, this is gonna be beautiful, 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 beautiful. So you can see now how everything is ISO constraint. So there is the under constraint is this point in here, but that's fine for now. This is, we're gonna be using this point. This is a point that you can actually put a constraint, say it's fixed or whatever, or even actually what we can do is eventually wait for this point to be used eventually in a mirror or so on. But this, I can no longer move anything here. This is all green and this is creating the right space for us. So make sure there are no open profiles. There definitely are none. All right, now we are going to draw a circle on the left of the sketch that is tangent to both circles with a diameter of 144. So let's go ahead and go do that. We're going to move to this side. We're going to click a circle that is tangent to two other circles. Definitely we don't want this option. Let's see this one. Try tangent circle. That's not the right one. So what we can do is we can actually click. So first of all, let's remove the element. So what I can do is I can just create a random circle like this and then come and put tangency with this one, then another tangency with this one, and then finally now it will fix it by putting how much is the diameter. So because of the tangencies and the diameter, and this one's going to be 144. All right, so it looks like it's we're doing it the right way. So now the task is to trim the outside of the big circle and to draw another circle that is centered on the leftmost axis and tangent to the adjacent circle. So let's go ahead and extend our axis a little bit. This is, oops. Okay, so I extended not the axis. I was like, that doesn't seem right. I extended the actual dimension between the two circles. So now we extended the circle So the nexus phase is draw a circle centered on the integers. It's a circle, so we're gonna click the circle. We're gonna make it here, anywhere, and then we're gonna click this one, and we're gonna say they are tangent. And then finally, we are going to put the right dimension on it. You see how easy it is when you keep using the logic of tangency and the logic of everything. This almost guarantees to you that you will not have an issue um, of this element. So what is the dimension of this last circle? So we have, so it's starting to take a shape. So we have this here, we're gonna have this, we're gonna have this, and um, this final element, let's see, it's 26. I don't know if I'm reading it right, 26. Let's see, we put this at 26. Yeah, that's not 26. So they are tangent to each other. They are the dimension is 26 between both of them, and this is all right. So draw another circle centered on the leftmost of the axis, tangent to the attached circle. Yeah, that doesn't look right. So I'm looking into the rest of the tutorial, and I'm not sure that this circle is even has any meaningful element, with the exception of limiting this circle. But at the same time, this circle is going to be trimmed with another bigger one, so it does not present any usefulness. So I'm going to go ahead and skip that step, and we will see. This is the beauty of trying to do this live like this. So we will see if this is something that will be an issue. So before we move on and actually mirror the different elements, let's go ahead and start trimming. So there are the options here of trimming. So this is the trimming options. So you have the trim, you have the break, you have the quick trim. So let's demonstrate the quick trim. So let's say I wanted to leave this place from the circle, from the two breaks. I can click here, and then it would automatically remove the space. So if I wanted to eliminate the other side, I click on the other side. Similarly, I can quick trim in here, look at what remains, and so on. So what we're going to do in here in this step is we're going to break the circle at a point. So I'm going to break the circle at a random point in here, and then this one I'm gonna move it to construction element, and I'm gonna use again quick trim, and I'm gonna try to remove this portion from here. So this is the remaining side of it, and actually this one I can, if I want altogether, just delete it. So now I have this kind of profile that is that we want. I'm going to, just in case I messed up somewhere and I was not sure, what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to be using the user selection filters. So I'm going to say all I want to select is points. I'm going to select everywhere, and I'm going to make sure that all of them are construction elements. Then I'm going to go ahead and put myself only on the curve filter, and that will help me select all of my curve from the start till the end and all the way to this point. What we're going to do is we're going to create a mirror of this along this axis. And ta-da, where's the mirror? So hold on. Oh, hold on. We remove this. Aha, there might be a slight issue in here. This one in here, for some reason, it ended not on the circle. So, I mean, you know what? Even if I had this open, we would have found this in a little bit of time when we are extruding. So, am I moving this? Okay, you know what? Let's do it the right way. So I'm gonna select this point, select this, and click on coincidence. And like this, I am sure that this is not gonna happen again. So now we're going to select all of our edges and we're going to mirror them with respect to the axis. And now we have this beautiful shape. What is still missing is the circle that merges both of them. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on a circle, we're going to put it here on an axis in a symmetry, remove the construction element. I'm just going to put the circle here. And then what we're going to do is we're going to say this circle and this circle, they have some tangency. And although by default, of course, they're going to have it with this one, but we're going to put the constraint because it's better to have it. And then finally, we are going to put the dimension, which is equal to 144. And the beautiful quick trim, we remove what we have from here. Another quick trim, we remove what we have from here, and we can zoom in. A quick trim, and we remove that portion, and I could have double click to save myself, and we remove that portion. And we have our shape that we're trying to hope to get. The problem is if we messed up, is we will discover it now. So let's go ahead and of course put the tangency, although it should be, and it's very, very easy to see if we messed up. We are going to exit the sketch and we're going to try to extrude. If it extrudes, we did it right. All right, so seems like we did everything right and there was no issues whatsoever anywhere. All right, so now moving on. So we are actually, we are asked to exit and pad it by 7 millimeters. So let's go ahead and do that. So this is the pad by 7 millimeters. And we are going to start looking into some other elements. All right. I'm sorry, it scrolled down a little bit too quick, my mouse. So now the first, so this is the first shape that we have. And now we are going to click and select and create an external profile. So we're going to select the face. So we are going to select the face and click on a sketch. So this is the face. Then we are going to draw an horizontal axis in construction mode, of course, and then draw a circle on that axis that has a diameter of 63 millimeters. So let's go ahead and do all of this. So we can either recreate things or actually we can like bring things to us from a different sketch. So for example, I'm going to illustrate that. You can actually, you know what, it's definitely gonna come eventually. But if we wanted to be sure, like, and not worry about locations and whatnot, we can actually like bring this sketch here. So let's say this arc, I'm gonna go ahead and bring it by projecting it and making it a construction element. So I brought it here. So now when I'm clicking the other circle, so let's say this is my other circle that you know, we were asked to create. And and we want the circle to be located in here. So I can click on this one, I can click on the projection and say, hey, you know what? There is concentricity between them. So this brings it, like this makes it, like you bring the projection and it brings it in here. And we can actually now put our dimension, which is, actually we can derive it from the other one. So we can say, we can actually try to see how much is the dimension in here, and this is projected. And then you can say this one, this radius is gonna be equal to this one. I mean, there's just so many ways that we can do that. The measured parameters, yes. Okay, good. All right. So this is one way to do it. Now we're going to click and make another circle here somewhere, and that circle is going to have a, oops, that's not good. So I'm going to keep this in the video. This shows you, oh, I did not save. Okay, you're this is a major pain point. Um, I did not save. I don't like that. So you've learned the big lesson that it's better to save. So I'm going to click OK, and it's going to terminate CATIA, and I'm going to cry for a second, then. So I am going to go ahead and open the part. I'm going to go ahead and open the part, and like this is where we were. We did this first sketch, and we were working our way on the other elements. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this as delete so that I can delete it later. So this is the final part, and then I am going to delete all the other elements. So this is what we were creating. I am going to delete them and continue from this point. So this is a lesson learned moment that it's better to save, and I'm gonna keep it in the tutorial because that can be also very, very useful. So we are at the stage. I am going to save now and continue from this point on. So now at this point we are creating the external profile. So what we were doing is we created a sketch in here. I demonstrated how you can bring the circle to this point. I am going to create this dimension, and this dimension we're going to project this to here, and this one we're going to make sure it's a construction element, and then these two actually we can, so we can, there is so many different ways we can actually define elements, and you can come in here and say they have the same radius, the same element, and so on. So I'm going to select the radius here and then say this one is, well, I can just say it's 35. So we have this from at this stage. Then we are going to click a 63 millimeter circle somewhere here, so not construction element. So, and let's go ahead and put the dimensions from here to here. We have a dimension of 250, and this one is of 63 diameter. So these are the stages that we have. Now use the project 3D element to project the two elements on the screen, and then okay, so they're asking us to project these elements, basically to project the profile. So I am not sure if I want to change something as we're talking. So let me see that. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I want to change something. It is meaningless to recreate all of this. I'm going to change something on the fly. So let's go ahead and do it in the following way. So I'm gonna remove this, and okay, so I'm gonna leave this one in here because I need this profile all the way to here. So I need to bring it. I'm just gonna project these elements and bring them here. Did I forget to click here? All right, so now I have all of these elements. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an arc that goes from here to here in a tangent manner. So we're going to click a arc, and this arc, we're going to start it from this point all the way. Oh, I should not. This is a circle. So let's say from here, we're gonna start it from this point all the way to somewhere here. So I'm gonna select here and here and say that, so first of all, I make sure that this is, so I need to make sure that these are fixed because I projected them. I'm going to select and make sure they are fixed because we don't want, okay. Oh, they are a projection, so they are by default fixed. So I'm going to select this one and put tangency, and then I'm gonna select this one and put tangency as well. All right, a quick removal of this extension, and then this one I can mirror to the other side through the horizontal, and it doesn't hurt, although it's definitely there, it doesn't hurt to add these constraints. And finally we are going to quick break. And we have this portion. So let's go ahead and see that this is, so I changed a little bit. Instead of rebuilding some stuff, I used a lot of projection. I mean, this is just a little bit wiser to do that. And we can leave now the sketcher and actually pad it for 14 millimeters. So we can pad it. Okay, so this is a good problem that happened. Let me go ahead and explain what's happening. So as we start moving forward, you're gonna start hearing me saying, okay, do things in a geometrical set, and like do only sketches and whatnot in part bodies. So when I was creating all of this, it was active within the geometrical set, whereas the sketch should be in the part body. So if you define and work object in here, and you can actually drag the sketch and bring it down to the part body where it belongs, and then make sure that the part body is active. So this concept of geometrical set is gonna come back when we're doing a lot of manufacturing. So now we're gonna extend the sketch and 14 millimeters, and we have this. So in case we wanted to see the lines and we want to make sure that we have all the views, we can actually come and change a little bit some of the views that we have so that we have this part. So this is where we are, and since we learned from our lesson, I am going to open the part. So now the next stage we have is pocket. So these are the pockets that we are creating from all the way from the start till the end. So basically so it's very useful to actually look at some of the steps forward. So in here, what we're doing is we're creating a pocket, and this pocket, we're creating it on this face, and this pocket has a certain profile. So this profile is going to be, so I'm going to show you a little bit this elongated hole, how we do it. This profile is going to be a little bit centered from, like the dimension from the circle. So we're going to need to get that as projection. And then an up to last pocket, which means all the way from the other side, it's empty. So, and then we are going to create a pad and so on. So let's go ahead and go back to this stage, to the creation of the elongated hole, elongated pocket. I'm going to flip to this side, I'm going to click a sketch, and so because it is dimensioned from here, we are going to, so I can use this point, so I will use this point. We don't have to recreate the projection because it is centered the right way. So on the graph, it is not centered the right way, so you have to create this projection. So now I'm gonna click on elongated hole. So there are features in here that you might want to discover. Sometimes you don't really want to create so like centered rectangles. This is like one of my favorite. So an elongated hole. So before we do that, actually, it would be useful to put a reference element here that can be really useful. So elongated hole, we're going to select one here all the way to somewhere here, and we're going to maximize it. Now, after that, let me go ahead and increase the screen so that I can see the dimensions. So we can actually put from this point to this point, we have a dimension. Oops, sorry. We have a dimension. This dimension is equal to 30. Then these radiuses, so I'm gonna double click and add a lot of dimensions. So this one, oh, what happened? Oh, we have this. So I'm gonna delete this. And so I'm gonna double click here and put this is equal to 6. Of course, we have to make sure that this is 6 as well. And finally, we have from here to here, the length is 150. So we're going to make sure that we have a 150 lengths. So now we can exit the sketch and we're gonna click a pocket and we're gonna select up to last. Preview, and this creates this pocket that is up to last. So this can shows us a little bit. This can show us a little bit where we are. All right, the graph does not look like it's empty all the way to the other side. I'm trying to see. So the graph looks like it's empty up to next. Okay, so let's see once again if I read it right or wrong. That it is draw a circle, make an up to last pocket. Well, it is up to last pocket. Up to next, perhaps it is. It does look like it is going only until this surface, like it's not going to the other side. So I can click up to plane and or like up to surface, yeah, and select here this plane and preview. So I mean, it does look like the tutorial says up to last, but the picture looks like up to the next. You know what? We can change it on the fly. Who cares? I mean, we're learning how to do this, so we'll make it up to last. Here we go. Done. Approved. All right. So now what we have to do is some final touches. We're going to create a hole on one side. So we're gonna create a concentric circle with 24, and then we're gonna make up to last. So I'm gonna come here, very simple, very quickly, click this here, come create a circle. This circle, we'll put it here, it's already concentric, and the dimension is 24. Look at this, almost at 24. We come here, we create a pocket, up to last, okay, and we have this from this side. So this is good. Now the last thing we are left up with is the creation of a 52 millimeters diameter concentric circle on that pad and pad it. So we're going to click in here and we are going to put that dimension of 63 in here. So we're gonna put something of the kind. Dimension from here to here so that we constrained it is equal to 250, and this dimension is equal to 63. We go out and then we are going to pad it 14 millimeters. So we pad this 14 millimeters. We make, I just flipped it to make sure it's the right orientation, because along this orientation it will create anything. So reverse orientation. Now we have this in here. Then finally we are going to create a hole from here. So we select this one. I am going to bring this over to be used. So this is, and I'm gonna create a circle, and this circle is definitely not a construction element. And this one and this one, they are already concentric. It automatically took the definition, and this one is 52 millimeters. Oh, they're not concentric. I thought they are. You know what? That was a wrong move from my side. We make sure that they are concentric. Now they are for sure. And this is how Isaac constraints could help you out. And we pocket it up to last. And ta-da! We have our beautiful cart. This has a lot of features. It demonstrates a lot of complexity, and this is very, very useful for you to repeat. All right, cool. So we are going to play around with the views, and this is the part. Thank you so much for listening to this tutorial.